What is up, YouTube? That's here, and today I'm super excited to be bringing you guys another Pokemon Legends EA competitive guide going over everything you need to know to play one of the highest skill ceiling Pokemon in the game, and that is going to be Aegislash. We've actually been making a ton of guides in this channel recently, going over how to use things like Mega Absol, Mega Chandelure, Mega Excadrill, and I've actually got a ton of requests in my comments for how to feature Aegislash. I've also got a lot of other requests for some other really unique Megas, so I think there's some really cool stuff we can do with Aegislash that I haven't seen people picking up on yet, so I'm going to show you guys how to use this thing to its fullest potential. Or if there's any Pokemon you want to see me feature in these little guides, let me know in the comments below. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So Aegislash is actually a really cool Pokemon. It has two different forms, being the defensive and offensive stance, and while you're in your defensive stance at the start of the game, whenever you click a damaging move, be it Shadow Ball, Close Combat, Shadow Sneak, anything like that, you transform into this offensive stance and you start using this 140 base attack. So you become a little bit of a glass cannon here. And then when you want to go back into the defensive stance, use a little move called King Shield. It's going to be a protect that has a pretty long cooldown, and then anything that actually makes contact with Aegislash then will get a -1 attack stat. So that's actually kind of good, because a lot of the attacks in the meta right now are those big single target attacks. So if they use like Dig and stuff like that, you're going to be able to block the attack, lower their stats, and then go into the defensive stance to soak more damage to start pinning them. I've also recently gotten a ton of requests to feature Aegislash, so for everyone that has requested Aegislash, this video is for you. I try my best to read and answer all of my comments. If there's a particular Pokemon you want to see me use, please leave a comment. Let me know what it is. I'll try my absolute best to make it work. We have some really cool teammates that don't really work on other teams that work really well with Aegislash, so I cannot wait to break those down. So let's hop right into the team builder and actually look at the defensive typing that Aegislash brings to the table. You can see it has a weakness to fire, it has a weakness to ground, it has a weakness to ghost, and it has a weakness to dark. So there's not that many things that like we really want to add here. Like you could add a dragon, I guess. You could add like a bulky water type, but I think there's a few Pokemon that slot really well in here to perfectly cover up for these weaknesses and give us a really good looking defensive type chart. The first one is going to be the most requested Mega on the channel that everyone's been asking me for, and that is going to be Mega Drampa. I think Drampa is actually really cool. It has two things that are really working out for Aegislash. It's a dragon typing, lets it block those like fire attacks and stuff like that, and its normal typing lets us be a perfect pivot in on those ghost moves. So it's actually going to be like the perfect defensive Pokemon. And then like, what is Drampa weak against? Things like fairy and ice moves. Aegislash's steel typing is going to perfectly let us block that. So these two are going to be perfect peas in the pod. You can start off with the Aegislash, play a little bit of a, long game, gather up a bunch of Mega Energy, go right out to your Drampa for the mid game, and just start blasting. And I think the perfect last Pokemon here is going to be a Pokemon that covers up for things that Drampa can't really deal with, while also still alleviating some pressure from Aegislash. It's going to be a secondary Mega on this team. I think it's one of the few teams in the meta that can actually utilize Charizard Y. So Charizard Y over the Charizard X is going to do a couple things right for this team. You can see it's still another Fairy Resist, but now it's also like another Fire Resist, a Ground Immunity, right? It's, its Fire typing is going to be able to deal super effective damage to anything that would actually threaten the Drampa with an Ice attack. Aegislash can also do the same thing. Like, you're starting to see this not only has a good defensive type chart, but a really good offensive type chart as well. We have a lot of damage coverage here. Aegislash using the ghost and steel moves. Drampa using good normal moves, good dragon moves. It also gets access to like Thunderbolts, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, Focus Blast. Like, Drampa is one of the best special sweepers in the game. I would highly recommend you guys trying this thing out for yourself. And then Charizard just kind of comes in at just the right time. It really helps us deal damage against specific mons like Metagross that would give the Drampa and the Aegislash both just a little bit of problems, while also still covering up for, like, I would say, like, Excadrill matchups and stuff like this. I want you guys to really start thinking proactively about utilizing these defensive type charts in the right way. Having the right type chart so where you can actually pivot to these mons is going to be the key to actually getting like first and second in matches, which is going to let you climb the ranked ladder faster, unlock that Greninja-ite, and generally just, I would say, enjoy the game just a little bit more. So now that we have our 3 mons, let's go back to the Showdown team builder and start adding them in. So we're going to add the Drampa here, and we're going to add the Charizard Y. So Drampa is a pretty cool mon. It's cool that it gets a Mega. Like, look at these different stat lines here. They both keep the same base speed, and look how much bulkier it gets. It gets a lot bulkier, a lot stronger. It's just such a cool mon. So we got the Drampa right here, and we're going to use the Drampa-ite, and then we're going to have a Charizard, and we're going to go Charizard Y. Charizard Y, unfortunately, losing the Drought ability, but it still has respectable stats, I would say. 159 special attack is still definitely high enough. Stab on the, flying and fire type moves. If you wanted to use, like, you know, like a Life Orb Zard, I guess you technically could here. But I do like the Charizard Y, and I think there's a few different things that Zard Y brings to the table, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. So remember, rank battles are going to be set at level 50, so, you know, make those levels level 50 for your EV training purposes, and we're going to get right on in to talking about, like, the stats, the moves, and everything else we need to know about this team before hopping into some ranked games so I show you guys how to actually play it. So I want to get one thing out of the way. There's two different ways to play Aegislash, right? You can play it physical, or you can play it special. And I think the reason why people really are struggling with this Pokemon right now is because everyone is trying to force a physical moveset on this guy, when realistically it should just be special. Like, special Aegislash has almost always been better in VGC compared to singles, and yes, you don't have, like, damage increasing moves like you do, like Swords Dance would be for singles, but the special pool isn't like weak to Intimidate in VGC, and in this one, the special pool is ranged, and that's Aegislash's biggest problem. Like, it doesn't really have any good, you know, I'm not going to say gap closers, but it's just a really, really slow mon. So when you're trying to force this moveset on an Aegislash, you don't even get close to them. They just, like, blow you up before you even get there, right? You swap your stance change and you kind of walk over there and they just pop you, right? But if you're using ranged moves like a special attacker Aegislash would, you know, things like, you know, Shadow Ball and things like Flash Cannon, you're going to be able to hit them at a little bit of range. So I do think that, like, this is the right way to do it. And I also want to say one really cool thing that you can do with Aegislash, this is going to be the key to utilizing this thing. I think a lot of people threw, like, Citrus Berry on it early, Leftovers on it early. That's kind of like how you would play it in older Pokemon games. I think the key item here is the weakness policy. So what you can actually do is, like, going up against a Metagross, you kind of walk up over there, they hit you with the EQ, you soak the damage because you're still in this defensive mode, and then you proc your weakness policy, get the plus, and I want to say weakness policy does work a lot differently in this game than it does in previous titles. Instead of giving you a +2, it just gives you a +1 to both of your stats for a really, really long time. So you get that +1, and then you stance change and just one-shot the Metagross with a Shadow Ball. And so even if right after that you get KO'd, that's a 1-for-1, which is totally acceptable for what Aegislash needs to do on this team. You get a little bit of Mega Energy, collect stuff on the map, sit around as long as possible, and then you just go to Dramp on Charizard to continue your sweep. So that's how I think you should be playing this guy. You have things like King Shield here. And then I think the last thing you really want to be utilizing on Aegislash is Shadow Sneak. You're going for a mixed sweeper. It's one of the few mons in the game that can actually do that. When you go into this offensive stance, you also get this massive attack and special attack stat. And remember, since weakness policy gives boost to both your attack and your special attack, you can actually utilize both of these. So a set like this is going to require actually a lot easier EV training than you might think. Aegislash has always been a really weird mon with EVs. I think a lot of people don't really understand how its EVs work. The way these EVs work is your HP is always going to stay the same. It's a base, you know, 60 across both forms. And then what happens is the only thing that actually changes when you stance dance is what I like to call it, is going, basically the base stat gets raised a ton. So you don't actually, back in the day, I think a lot of people thought that, like, if you fully EV trained your defense stat, when you went to the offensive stat, it would use that. And that's not how it works. Honestly, it just would go like this. So this is going to happen. Basically, you're fully invested in this special attack when you're in your defensive mode, and when you swap this over into a offensive mode, you still retain that same investment, but now you're on the 140 base attack or special attack stat. It's pretty easy to understand. So realistically, I think the way that we want to do this is, I think there's nothing really wrong with catching an alpha Aegislash, so that way you don't have to waste the Dust Stone and stuff like that. It's going to come fully EV trained in HP. Make sure that your you know, defenses, stats and stuff like that are going to be, you know, maxed out. Put the best in those stats if you want to use you know, bottle caps, feel free. But then what I would really recommend here is just going for a plus nature on our special attack, and then I would recommend going for a quiet nature on this thing, as opposed to a modest. And the reason why we don't want to go for the modest nature is because we're actually going to be using this Shadow Sneak. Every once in a while, you're going to want to finish things off with a little Shadow Sneak. So that being said, our EV spread, super, super simple. It's going to look something like this. You don't really need to get too complicated. If you would like to put more in defense, you definitely could, but I want to be able to hit as hard as possible with this Aegislash, and I want to be able to guarantee that I can get those KOs on things like Metagrosses, on things like Gardevoirs, things that I actually want to be hitting with these super effective stab moves. So yeah, this is a pretty easy EV spread, nothing too spectacular about it, and I think it's definitely going to work. So we're going to be able to soak that damage, even from like Earthquakes, from like Extra Drills, Garchomp's, Metagross, we can soak one Earthquake. We will live at about 15% even from like Adamant Mons. And then from there, we just like one-shot them. Or if they've taken a little bit of chip, you can just finish them off with a Shadow Ball. It's pretty good stuff. So this is the EV spread that I would recommend for Aegislash. Let's take a look at Drampa here. Drampa gets a lot of really, really good coverage moves. You know, it gets things like, you know, Thunderbolt like I was talking about, like Ice Beam like I was talking about. And then from there, I think the last two moves, you could throw something like Focus Blast if you want a better Avalugg matchup or like a Aggron matchup. I think a lot of people are teching that in some situations. But I think that utilizing your stab moves is still probably the right way to do it. So I would actually just throw on Draco Meteor. I think Draco Meteor is really good for that mid game. Yes, you get the stat drop, but you get like a really wide area of just like dump trucking damage. So if you're fighting like triple Garchomp teams and stuff like that, you just drop that one Draco, get that triple kill, easy peasy, right? And then the last move I've actually been using is Hyper Beam. I've actually had a lot of value with this, but it also does get things like Hydro Pump, Fire Blast. You can actually use anything you want. This guy gets almost like every special move in the game, but I really do like the Hyper Beam. It's just great single target damage. So once you like know that you're not really going to be swapping anymore, just rip that Hyper Beam, get some KOs. It's really good against like the neutral Mons. So against like a Gallade or something like that, you can just rip that Hyper Beam right out. I really do like it. It's good damage against fairies and stuff like that too. So I think this is a pretty good moveset. And then as for Drampa, pretty easy EVs. You know, it's not really going to require that much, you know, extra work. You can actually just click the button here. I would throw these last 4 stats into defense. And there's no real reason, we were talking about this in previous videos, to cut these stats up and put extra points in speed. We've learned a little bit more about speed over the past few days. You know, I've watched a bunch of the different videos on speed. We're still working everything out, but like honestly, you don't really need to put a lot of speed. Speed is honestly like the worst stat in the game, I would say. Yes, it does lower your cooldown reduction, but it's not going to increase your mon's movement or increase their, you know, startup animation. It's just their cooldowns. And so realistically, since we have 4 really, really big moves here, just being able to rip like 1 or 2 of these, throw out a Draco, throw out a Hyper Beam, get 2 or 3 KOs before going down, that's all you really need to do with this guy. But speaking about speed, let's actually break down a little bit of what we could get away with doing here. Now, in the speed videos that I've actually seen, it seems to be that the first 25 speed in your actual stat here don't really do anything. And I've heard that a lot of speed stats and moves that have like different second cooldowns actually can't be lowered below 3 seconds. That's why like even if you had like an extreme speed on like a Dragonite and you went full speed investment, it wouldn't lower that below 3. 3 is the lowest that moves can go. And so what I've realistically heard is that your first 25 points don't, like, you take those off the table, right? And then every 100 after that, you're going to get like a little bit of, you're going to get about 3 seconds of cooldown, you know, per mon. That's just what I've heard. Feel free to let me know if you have the perfect formula for everything. Fill everyone in. We're still learning. The game's only been out a week. But basically, for every 100 over your first 25, you're going to get 3 seconds of reduction. So something like a Charizard here can get a little bit of, you know, speed, you know, a little bit of cooldown reduction by putting in a little bit of speed. So if you go up to like this, right? If we put 36 points in here, we get 3 seconds off of our flamethrowers. Like an 8-second cooldown flamethrower goes to about 5 seconds if you have 36 points in speed. So I think that like the understanding these exact numbers, these exact thresholds is going to be the min-maxing that we're actually going to be able to deal with to understand how to like win those mirror matches and stuff like that. This is what the, you know, in-depth EV training we're looking at is gonna help you with. So I think that putting this much speed, giving you a little bit more cooldown reduction than like other things that are rocking around with the base 100 is actually gonna be really, really nice. And then from there, I think our moveset is actually gonna be something like, you know, Flamethrower is gonna be really good. I think Fire Blast is gonna still be acceptable. I really like double dipping on our 2 stabs. That way, if like, you know, if I see a Metagross, I'm like, I'm gonna Flamethrower that, and then they Mega, you know, and to block my Flamethrower, I can still just drop a Fire Blast, right? So I still think having that coverage is going to be really good. And I actually think Air Slash is really good. I think it's a zoning move. I think it hits those grass types just as well, hits fighting types as well too. So things like Hawlucha, Fallinx, Mega Heracross, there's a lot of mons that still take that damage and they're not really expecting the Air Slash. And then the last move that I really like on Zard Y, it doesn't get a ton of other coverage moves. I actually am a big fan of Protect on this thing. You know, a lot of people only tech the one electric move or the one rock move to be able to pin these things. You block that one move. Case in point, like Excadrill's a really good example. Like Excadrill's like, I'm gonna Rock Slide that, or I'm gonna Stone Edge that. Actually, it doesn't get Stone Edge, it just gets Rock Slide. You block that, and you're like, now what? Where are you going now? And you just melt them, right? Same thing goes for like Garchomp. A lot of Garchomps only have one move that can even hit the Zard. If you block it, you're absolutely safe. And it's not like Zard has a ton of other coverage moves. So I think this is actually a really solid option. one of the few mons that can actually run protect correctly. And it's cool that we have 2 mons that can technically protect as well. So those are going to be the moves here. We're going to finish up this EVs here. I think that Zard, you can still max your special attack if you want to. Honestly, you only really need to play for 244 to get to your bump here. Note that that's 229 right there, and these extra go right there. So you could do something like this and cut the last 8 up that would be going in your HP into 2 sets of 4 there. You could also just honestly catch an Alpha Charmander, use the full HP stat, throw the rest in special attack after you do the 36 in speed if you want. That definitely works. This is what we're going to be using today. It's just a little bit more optimal, but I do think it's good. I don't know how much Zard we're realistically going to be using in our games. I think we're mostly going to be utilizing like Aegislash and Drampa, but I do really like what Zard is able to bring to the table. It can pivot in on fire moves, it can pivot in on fairy moves, it can pivot in on fighting and ground moves. And one of the really cool thing about this team is that like we're making a lot of our defensive options. See how we're not really making just like one mon cover up for our weaknesses. We have 2 coverages for fighting. You know, we have 2 coverages for fairy, things like that. We're doing our absolute best to cover up for like the problem typings that we're actually really afraid of. So it's not up to, you know, one mon to have to do all of the heavy lifting in a bad matchup. So that being said, what we're going to do right now is hop into some games. I have the team right here, and hopefully we get some wins. I just want to remind everyone that we are still trying to get to 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. If you have in your heart to drop a sub, you like this sort of team building content, and if there's any sort of Pokemon you want to see me build around or use or feature, you can check that out right here. Let me know in the comments. I want to do my best to bring that sort of content you guys want to see right in front of your faces so you guys can watch as much as you want. So that being said, let's hop into some ranked games and wish me luck. All right, here we go. We see a couple Chandelure profile pictures. Got the plus map. I think Chandelure is probably a really good mon for us to test this strategy with. Let's see what they got over here. Aegislash off the rip. Remember, we don't just want to run out into the middle of the map. We want to let people start fighting, come in at the very end. We see Chandelures, Excadrills. They're all coming for me. All right, so let's see how we want to block this. King Shield block. They're starting to take a little bit of damage. They swap out. Cool. You can hit me with the drill run, please. Awesome. Mega Horn's going to get that block. Come on over here. Yep. See how they're leaving? Cool. We good. Go for some damage. EQ, I'm gonna die. Yeah. Oh my gosh. See, it takes so long to go into the animation. But we did play a lot of that game right. We actually got our weakness policy procced. I should have probably clicked Flash Cannon into something else, but this is completely okay. We're gonna go back into the Aegislash. Remember, the whole point of this mon is just sit on the board a little bit long enough to actually get some stuff done. Let's just go for a KO here if we want to get this. They don't even see us. Finish off with Shadow Sneak. Nice. Aegislash is on the board. King Shield. Blocked it. Easy peasy. Swap, 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 swap. Nah, never luck. Yeah, I got greedy, right? I got greedy. But we did all of our job. Like, we got a KO with the Aegislash. Pretty easy stuff. Shadow Sneak's good tech here after that policy proc. So we have Drampa on the board. Pop that big Mega, get ready to go. Who are we targeting here? That's fine. Almost takes it. We're gonna force him. I'm trying to force him to swap. If he ain't gonna swap, we just gonna win, bro. Yep, there's the swap. Great stuff. Okay. I can go to Zard here and just get this KO easy. Soak that. Okay. Back into Aegislash here. Wonder how well we eat this. Overheat. It's a lot of damage. Sloppy. All right, so we have our mega back. Let's go into Drampa and actually close this out because we wasted the Draco too early. I should have Hyper Beam, but Hyper Beam is just hard to use in this matchup. I'm gonna grab the plus here. Okay. Don't act like I won't just Hyper Beam the crap out of you, bro. Yup! Oh my god, the double KO with the big Drampa. Don't even care. Do it again. Ice Beam Ds, we're at 3. Cool, let's grab these Mega Shards. Keep our Mega active longer. People can fight us if they want. We got Thunderbolts. Outrage. He almost actually had me. We're gonna swap. Ugh. We block that. We're gonna drop a Protect because we actually don't want to take any damage from these guys. Thunder Punch, I live. Need Aegislash. Alright, don't die. Don't die, Aegislash. Cool. So I think we did all right. Looks like someone DC'd. They probably just got really mad that they're losing to Aegislash, but like we're to tie for first in that one. I would say that we could definitely play that a little bit cleaner, but I think the whole game plan of not just running right in the middle at the start, letting people start picking fights, go in when you can, get that weakness policy proc, trade 1 for 1, get enough mega shards to actually go into your Drampa and start just blasting. Like that's how this team wants to go. And I think we would have an even better matchup against teams that like Drampa was better against. Like against Chandelure Excadrill, which are relatively common. Like maybe we might need to be teching like a different move in that last spot. Maybe like a flamethrower or a shadow ball. That could definitely be something that we want to tech in on the Drampa, but pretty good results overall. We're going to go into a couple more games and see if we can clean that up just a little bit. All right, here we are on the vertical/horizontal map. This is probably a pretty good map for Charizard, probably pretty decent for Drampa, and what's really cool about this map is it starts us off in the corner doing a potential 1v1. It looks like it's against Metagross. You can see it right there. So going up against Metagross on this side, this is probably pretty good for your boy. Do some damage. Heavy Slam, like I don't care. I'm Aegislash. Like Earthquake? Iron Head? Cool. I mean, that's fine with me. Hit me with something. You don't have any coverage? Power Up Punch, right? So you have no coverage. Awesome. See how we just let that happen? Like, bro, what? Don't block that. Oh my gosh, that sucks. Let's go back in the stance. Yeah, we're chill. We're chill here. We don't have to do anything weird. Slowly position. There's a swap into a Garchomp. Let's grab this. Oh my god, he got it off. They're going to dig. So we just block that. And we have a Protect here in case they want to throw something weird. And I used the wrong move. There's a Protect into Drampa. Get ready to Ice Beam. Oh, no, that sucks. I'm dead. Yeah, almost. Almost had it. Yeah, slow mons are slow. That happens. I think Drampa's going to be able to get some KOs here. Now that we're like out of the corner, right? That Metagross set is nuts. Alright, Garchomp. Ice Beam. Nice. Does not get the Earthquake off. Block this. Block the Dazzle. Hyper Beam D's. Goodbye. One mean beam. How do you stop that? Oh, he swapped a Greninja. That's fine. Good play. T-Bolt, baby. There it is. Hyper Beam still on cooldown. Oh, we got KO'd. We got freaking Light of Ruin cannoned? Oh my gosh, that's nuts. Let's go back to Aegislash. They have an Aegislash too. Oh, Aegislash mirror match. Oh, I'm fighting you, bro. Are we fighting? This gaming words? Shadow Sneak probably could have got that KO. Shadow Sneak finish. Nice! Aegislash 1v1! One and done. King Shield. Stat drop. Yes. He's going Mega. Don't really want to deal with that. Ice Punch? Or Ice Beam, sorry. They're gonna live. Yeah, I got O-Code. I mean, he had all the stats, right? I think he's Sword Stanced up too. So close, but now he should have Mega. Alright. 30 seconds remain. Big Mega time. Thunderbolt. Dumpy. Oh, what did I get hit by? Oh my gosh, that Floette has just been a thorn in my side this whole time. Alright. Let's try Zard. Probably shouldn't even do this, but it's fine. No, it's not gonna come out in time. Oh, Zard, you've let me down. You know what? I'm gonna include this one, because, like, honestly, we had the Aegislash 1v1. Aegislash did really good job in that matchup, and we technically, like, didn't throw at the beginning. So I think that a lot of that game was actually done right, even though we obviously didn't win. We just needed to clean up a little bit of that mid game, and, you know, we'll potentially get some big sweeps on in the last one. All right, here we are going onto the vertical/horizontal map. I really actually like this map because it gives you, like, that 1v1 at the very start of the game. So if there are Pokemon that can actually proc our weakness policy, we can v1 them with Aegislash and then move on. So let's see, what are we going up against? Gonna be Metagross. This is gonna be great. Pop that King Shield, block the EQ here first. Let's see if they have any other moves. Oh, that actually was a plus move. Wow. All right, so we just gotta swap, bro. I'm getting dumpied. Actually, maybe I just timed my EQ wrong. I think that's what that was. I just timed the EQ wrong. Or the King Shield, sorry. They're waiting for me to run so they can come and pin after, but, like, I don't have any other good matchups here because we know they have Thunder Punch. So the best thing we can do here is to come in with Zard. Triple freaking Metagross show, bro. I hate this. How many Metagrosses does it take to screw in a light bulb? Of course they live. Walk out. I don't have any good matchups into this many Metagrosses. Cool, thank you. I don't have any good lines into you either, but like that's fine. Almost got that. So it looks like plus Thunderbolt doesn't get Starmie. I'm gonna have to Mega. Okay, just good to know. Alright, the Metagross show. Zard is the right play. We just need a little bit more support. I'm gonna die here, right? I'm at 3 HP, baby. And they're at 1. Got it. Cool. I'm at like 1 though. Anyway. Cool. Not the best. But I'm gonna go with this defense. I'm gonna soak a little bit of damage on Grandpa. Yep, there it is. Get ready to go to Aegislash. Oh yes. Yeah, baby, yeah. I can soak this. Earthquake. I got this. Nice! Aegislash busted. Let's freaking go. Damn, I had that. The longest animations of all time. Yeah, I died. Yeah, I tried my best. I tried my best. It's time for Drampa, though. I think Drampa has about, like, 30 seconds left in a sweep. So let's see. Of course, we're going to be on the opposite side of the map from everything I need. And, of course, they're going double Metagross. Who's over in that corner? Someone else needs to spawn. Triple Metagross? Okay. Nice. It's 1 KO. I had to blow the Hyper Beam right there. We had about 10 seconds left. All these Metagrosses. Best I got. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, nice dig. I think I still got first, but we did some really good Aegislash gameplay in that one. We blocked the right moves. We did everything that we really needed to do to succeed. So with Aegislash, I would really recommend not just like rushing into battle, not just like, you know, running around and trying to get those big KOs. I'd really recommend like trying to soak a little bit of damage and then pin things with like the super effective like Shadow Balls, Flash Cannons, go for those Shadow Sneaks when you can. But you gotta remember, Aegislash has like I think the worst pathing in the game. It likes to walk all the way up over into places and then stance dance and like then get ready to use a move. It's so hard to play. I think this is one of the highest skill ceiling Pokemon in the game. But that being said, you can definitely still make it work if you have the right set. And one of the last things I want to say before we end the video here is we're actually thinking of, as a community, hosting a sort of like Halloween Mono Ghost tournament. Probably like Thursday the 30th, I think, on stream. So if that's interesting to you, if you want to play in a tournament using only spooky ghost types in like free-for-all, just like the normal tournament videos we do on this channel, think about joining the Discord. There's going to be a link to it in the description. It's actually where all the information on all of our tournaments are. So if you go to play in a mono ghost tournament, you think you got some cool tech, you got some spooky skills to show off, check out the link to the Discord, go join our tournaments, and yeah, if you guys have it in your heart to drop a sub, help us get to 50K, I'd really appreciate it. And please, please, please let me know if there's any Pokemon you want to see me feature in any videos, mega, non-mega, specific set. Let me know in the comments. I'll try my absolute best to make it work. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you guys next time.